Okay, setting a proper motivation. Okay, by the way, those of you who do not have this book, please raise your hands. Those who do not have this, the Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas, please raise your hands. Okay. In line with the advice given by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I think back in 2013, in the hotel, Delhi, I think, Leela Palace or Taj, I don't remember that too well. His Holiness gave me the advice that whenever there's a gathering, it would be good if taking the aspirational Bodhisattva vow can be conducted. And so, in line with that, we are doing this, observing the aspirational Bodhisattva vow on a monthly basis. On a monthly basis, and this is actually very auspicious, and in fact, if we can wholeheartedly take part in this program the way we are doing it, this would be far more beneficial in terms of accumulation of merit, in terms of cleansing your negativities, in terms of, say, getting rid of the obstacles, and in terms of accumulating, say, the wholesome thoughts, and in terms of, say, the activating, germinating the seed of compassion which exists within each one of us. It has so many benefits. And the equally important is to see how we can do the follow up this practice. So those of us here in Delhi, so we try best to make sure that this program happens once a month. It's going to be a monthly program. But those of us who are not here in Delhi, who may be a visitor here, then see how to make it more like, say, how to maintain the momentum of this practice in your life. I say once in a month, on the auspicious days, like say the 15th, 10th, 8th, and the 30th of the lunar calendar. Just see, and the point is, from what you're doing, you'll come to learn that finally it is activating the seed of compassion within us and activating the seed of wisdom within us, the wisdom and compassion. So activating the compassion, the fullest form is the Bodhicitta, conventional Bodhicitta, and the wisdom in its fullest form, the wisdom of emptiness, of objective existence. So these two things, we see that what we aspire, say, some of us here may be born as a Buddhist, and some of us here may be at a later stage, you become, generate a sense of admiration in the teaching of the Buddha, and then becoming inclined towards the teaching of Bodhicitta. So in both ways, we are all very lucky that we are somehow connected with the practice of Bodhicitta. And keep in mind that the Bodhicitta, so why this practice becomes so important, is that begin with this question: what do I want in my life? What do you want? This is the question. So there we see that every one of us, whether you're Buddhist, non-Buddhist, whether you're scientist, not scientist, whether you're educated, uneducated, rich, poor, or whether you are, say, the believer, non-believer, we all aspire for happiness. We all seek happiness. One, this is reality. Number two is we shun miseries, including fears. In other words, we want to be fearless and we want to have the maximum happiness. So these are two things everybody seeks. This is reality. And from what we're doing, because that these two are the things that everybody seeks, as a countermeasure for the fear, we have the wisdom of emptiness. The fear of being chased by a ghost in the dream. The best of the countermeasure is waking up. The wisdom that you get out of waking up. In other words, the wisdom of emptiness of objective existence is the final remedy to overcome your fears of life and thus acquire a state of the greatest sense of fearlessness. Number one, this is what everybody aspires to achieve. One. Number two is everybody aspires to achieve the maximum happiness. We're not happy just that 3 people are happy with me. I want 10 people, I want 20 people, 100 people, 1,000, infinite people to be the happy with me or happy with each one of us. So this is what we want. We seek as much happiness, maximum happiness for us. 2 things. We want fearlessness and we want maximum joy. And the fearlessness is given rise to by most effectively is given rise to by the wisdom of emptiness. And the maximum joy is most effectively given rise to by the sense of bodhicitta, unconditional love of bodhicitta for other sentient beings. So these two are the things which should be like the main stem of our life, of our daily practice, of our lifelong practice. So should it be the case that we're able to do that, then no doubt you're going to be very matured and a very happy person and freed of any form of fears in our lives. So this is so precious, so precious. And in fact, say for say the parents here, they are parents here, and for the parents, the greatest gift that you can offer to your children is finally these two qualities. And say with money we can buy things for your children, but these two qualities is something the parents have to imbibe themselves, and then by means of examples that the children, and of course making them exposed to this kind of an environment, and then they start learning these things. This is the greatest gift that you can offer to your children. This is the greatest legacy that you can pass on to your children as the lifelong benefit for your children. So this is so important. So with this in mind, let's turn to page 3 of this book, The Blaze of Non-Dual Bodhicittas. Setting a proper motivation. So finally what we do, to what extent this is of benefit that is determined by the setting of motivation. So the better the motivation that we set, more beneficial the whole event will turn out to be. So for that matter, the setting proper motivation consists of 3 things. One is a refuge field, number 2 is bodhicitta field, number 3 is realizing the purpose of the practice. First, the refuge field. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and all the enlightened beings in front of us, in the sky, the space in front of us. And imagine that they are your mothers, very affectionate parents, and imagine that you come home demoralized and your parents are waiting there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth. Next, the bodhicitta field. Visualize your 2 parents on the 2 sides. Even if you have difficulty with your parents, it doesn't matter. Those of us who have no difficulty with the parents, you are very lucky. Even if you have difficulties with parents, what we're doing here is to transcend the ordinary people's thinking. For that matter, remember or recall that your 2 parents on the 2 sides, or visualize them on the 2 sides, all the family members, including children around you, and everyone including the human beings, the local spirits, the animals, everyone in Delhi, in India, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. And here, you are the mother, and all others are like your children. Imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace. To the extent that each one of them feels themselves as so special in your eyes. And the purpose of this practice is to discover the true nature of your mind, which is a state of perfection, the perfection of mind, the ultimate treasure of happiness. And yet, it is not discovered, it is not manifested, it is obscured, it is mixed with the soil of the metal dirts. So like the gold, when mixed with the soil of the dirts, the gold inside does not glow. And how do we know that there's gold there? By removing the soil, slowly removing the soil, then the gold inside will start to glow. Likewise, the metal dirts, as we remove the metal dirts, you see that the true nature of the mind inside starts to glow. So when the dirts are fully eradicated, your mind becomes non-dual with the mind of all the enlightened beings. Your mind gets access to every atom of the universe with the unconditional love, in the spirit of unconditional love, with the all-encompassing wisdom, and with the absolute power. So our job is to activate this. And to activate this, we have to separate this true nature from the mental defilements. And to get rid of the mental defilements, we have to depend. We have to resort to the corresponding remedies. And to what remedies to apply, to know what remedies to apply, we need to know the nature of the mental defilements. And the mental defilements, we see that it is of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one, also known as the afflictive obscurations, the presence which stops us from achieving nirvana. And the subtle one, consisting of the cognitive obscurations, the presence which stops us from achieving Buddhahood. And the gross one, the nature of which is it boils down to the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. And the cognitive nature, the cognitive obscuration, it boils down to subtle stains of this ignorance, viewing things as objectively real. So in short, we see that the mental defilements, finally, they boil down to either the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, or the subtle stains of the self-grasping ignorance. And to counteract these two, the only remedy that we have is the wisdom to see the reality as it is. Just as the darkness can be eliminated only by introducing the light, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eliminated. So the wisdom has to be activated. But this wisdom, to what extent this wisdom will be able to eradicate the mental defilements, the gross one or the subtle one, that depends on what remedy that you apply. The motivation that you apply or that you engage with. If the motivation is just the renunciation, it will at the most take you to cleanse the afflictive obscurations. And if the motivation is the bodhicitta on top of renunciation, then it will help you to eradicate the cognitive obscurations as well. So this is the purpose. So in short, the purpose is activate the wisdom of emptiness on the basis of the spirit of the bodhicitta. So with this mind, imagine that you are leading this, and all the dear non-sentient beings, including parents, they are joining you, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. With their mind, let's turn to page 3 and say this together. And used by great compassion, you taught that immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And used by great compassion, you taught that immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, one who taught this peace which is freed of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these has complete peace, who through the knowledge of past courses souls have been migrated to achieve the aims of the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subduers expound the varieties of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruistic benefits sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata and protector, to your restorations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and profound. To you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations to the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetam Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Tesham Tathagato Yavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes, the causes are taught by the Tadavada, the cessation as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration, free, care-light, and non-composite. Such is the nectar like Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching, in silence I return to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the professional wisdom, which is unborn, unseized, and has the nature of space. Is the ultimate apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, of the three times of pure basins. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of all. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, please liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of aeons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of success that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, let us turn to page 14. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. As we read this, How we read this is, although the title says praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, but the purpose is for ourselves. The purpose is see in the what are the qualities on the basis of which the Buddha Shakyamuni was praised. And these qualities, eventually we should manifest these qualities within ourselves so that the Buddha nature within each one of us will also become manifest, and then we ourselves become one, like Buddha Shakyamuni. So see if you have some of these qualities mentioned there. If you do have, rejoice in you having these qualities and see how to enrich them further. And if you don't have these qualities, the point is, okay, these are the qualities on the basis of which somebody is to manifest once the Buddha nature within. So I should also cultivate these qualities, although they are not present as yet within myself. So with this mind, and let's slowly read this, and then imagine that you are taking this and also makes the journey, including your two parents. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct. Sugata, no other world, supreme God and human beings to be tamed. Teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completed and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, are prostrate, made offerings and go for refuge. When all supreme amongst humans you were born on this earth, you paid off 7 strides and said, I'm supreme in this world. To you who are wise then I prostrate. With pure bodies strong, supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Touch like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like vast ocean, to you that Tathagata I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dhamma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual apparition, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. Through this marriage may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the 4 faults, and be delivered from the samsara's oceans, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness and death. Okay, let us turn to page 31, Heart Sutra Mantra. And this mantra is very precious mantra, and should you encounter with difficulties in your life, challenges, and say oftentimes we come to hear about your near and dear ones, they're passing away, and with a terrible sickness, hospitalized and so forth. So there, see if we can recite this mantra for them, for yourself, and for everyone. So this mantra is very precious, and it contains the essence of all the Buddha's teachings. So in simply put, Tiyatha means here is thus, Gade Gade Paragate Parasamgade Bodhiswaha means that here is thus, go from the state of the miseries to the highest ultimate happiness. So how to go there? It is through these 5 paths, Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgade Bodhiswaha. Go beyond, go utterly beyond, and establish your ultimate enlightenment. So this meaning, so it's simply put, everybody, we want happiness, we don't want suffering, we don't want to become sick, we don't want to die, but though we don't want these things happen. So now, the point is that what we don't like, we are going from where we are to what we don't like in actuality. So this path will take us from where we are to what we like. Gati is to go from where you are to the state of ultimate happiness. Okay, so this is so precious. And imagine that the Buddha Shakyamuni exalts us thus: don't remain in the face of samsara, come towards ultimate happiness. And you hearing this melodious voice of the Buddha Shakyamuni, you inspire your two parents and all the dear sentient beings. Look, this is what our compassionate teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, is exhorting us. Let us not stay in the face of samsara anymore. Let us all go towards ultimate happiness. And everyone so happily joins you, hearing what he was saying. With that in mind, let's say this, and this 7 times. In the process, those of you who are already exposed to some degree of the understanding of emptiness, try to bring in the recollection of the emptiness, bring in the reflection of emptiness once in a while to make this, the mantra, very vibrant. And of course, this mantra will bear the maximum benefit if that is complemented by the experience of emptiness. Okay. Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Okay, next we read page 32, 8 verses of mind training. 8 verses of mind training. Oftentimes people get misunderstanding on these 8 verses, thinking that it is very self-denial and so forth. But the idea is, it is not a self-denial. It is a very wise way of segregating the self-confidence and the self-referential ego. So this is what this 8 verse mind training does: separate the two things, and what brings the failures, what brings the mental pain, anxiety, stress, tension, so forth. This is the self-referential ego. Whereas self-confidence is the one which gives rise to all the happiness that we seek. So the point is that within us, within the mind, we see that there are innumerable, there's one class of the minds, the innumerable in number, which only attracts miseries. And there is another class of mind which attracts happiness within us. Say, somebody being kind towards you, you feel happy, calm. Somebody being a little jealous towards you, you're very unhappy. And somebody baselessly accuses you, you feel unhappy. So we see that they are the two trends, or the two patterns, or two classes of minds. One which gives rise to miseries, and the other which gives rise to happiness too. And what attracts miseries, what underscores this group of the destructive emotions is the self-referential ego. And say in our experience, see how much we can slowly get rid of this ego, right? Self-referential ego. Always think about the self. So see how to get rid of this slowly, right? And in the process, by getting rid of this, sometimes you may feel little, little loss. I let go of my ego, and now people don't count on me. People see me as inferior, weak. No, this is not the idea, right? So try to experiment it on some occasions. We see that as the ego goes down, there's such a freedom. You can feel the freedom there. Freedom is an amazing experience. And then on the other hand, to let go of the ego doesn't mean that you have to become a very weak person. Self-confidence must not be compromised. Self-confidence must be built. It must be strengthened. So that is so important. In other words, self-confidence is the one which gives rise to all the positive qualities within you, and the ego is the one which gives rise to all the destructive emotions, which eventually give rise to miseries in us. So knowing this, our job is how not to give in to the self-referential ego, and instead boost our own self-confidence. And never should we ever be having a sense of self-hate. Never ever have a sense of self-hate. Even if you're going through the worst phase of your life, never ever have a sense of hate. Sense of hate, self-hate. Self-hate, this is the greatest failure. Nobody can fail you, even if you go through the most difficult phase of your life, but nobody can fail you. Only the self-hate is the one which can fail you. So therefore, never, if you really want to hate someone, don't hate the self. Hate the self-referential ego. How to hate it? Discount the ego, and then see where you end up. You end up with such a freedom in your thinking. Freedom and the ease, incredible ease, is what you will experience. Okay, so this is the purpose for which the 8 verse mind training is designed. Let's say this wholeheartedly. And I remember His Holiness the Dalai Lama many years ago, saying that this is very important text, and His Holiness recites this every day. So because after hearing this, I, in my own capacity, I also started to recite it every day. Okay. With the determination to achieve the highest aim, for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem, may hold them dear at all times. Whenever I interact with someone, may view myself as the lowest of someone's soul, and from the very depths of my heart, respect for the whole others as superior. In all my deeds, may I probe into my mind, as soon as unpleasant character, oppressed by strong negativity and suffering, may hold them dear, for they are rare to find, as if I have discovered the jewel treasure. When others out of jealousy treat me wrongly with their abuse, slander and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others the victory. When someone in whom I have placed great hopes mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, may I regard him still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all hurts and pains of my mothers. May all these remain undefiled by the stains of the 8 mundane concerns, and may I recognize in all things as illusions, devoted claim being released from bondage. from our two connections, vast space that have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds with eyes blinded by ignorance. Okay. What we do is now we are doing. If you turn to page 46, we see that it's a ceremony to regenerate the mind of consummate yoga. So this is more taking the aspirational Bodhisattva vow, and taking the aspirational Bodhisattva vow. Most of you all know this. The vow, they are several kinds. Generally speaking, the moment you take a vow, there's a tremendous responsibility there. But for this particular vow, aspirational Bodhisattva vow, there are two kinds: aspirational Bodhisattva vow and the engaged Bodhisattva vows. There are two. Engaged Bodhisattva vows, there the one is not entitled to take it so lightly or easily. One has to make sure that you have been practicing or meditating on Bodhicitta for, say, if possible, on a daily basis, and you have some degree of the, say, experience. You think about all sentient beings, there's a compassion flowing towards all sentient beings, a genuine desire to become Buddha, and so forth. So these things should come. Only then one is entitled to take the engaged Bodhisattva vow. But then the exceptions. Some people somehow, because of the meeting with the very special teacher, and yourself, you're also very, say the karmically pure, and somehow then made, and then auspiciously such a time the occurs that you take the engaged Bodhisattva vow. Okay, this is exception. So generally speaking, taking the engaged Bodhisattva vow, there are very serious commitments there. But for the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, there's no special commitments. So this is something which is so, of course, of the two. Engaged Bodhisattva vow, the benefit that you get out of that versus what we're doing now, the benefit that we get out of taking the engaged Bodhisattva vow, should it be the case that you are really qualified for that, the benefit is going to be much, much more. But for generally, for all of us, even the great Bodhisattvas, they can continue to take this aspirational Bodhisattva vow on a daily basis, once in a week, monthly, and so whatever. Okay. So here, the commitment, there is no special commitment. And if you really are, if you're so keen for commitment is very simple. That is, from today onwards, to the best I can, I will not harm others. To the best I can, I'll help others. Right? So this is a commitment. And once in a while, say you having a disagreement with someone else, clash of ideas, little bit of anger, and so things can happen. It doesn't matter. Right? But deep inside, we should not ever have a feeling that, okay, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings except for this person. Right? That should not happen. Right? Okay, deep inside, okay, so say the sound of a clap. Sound of a clap is only because of the two hands coming together. It's never the sound of a clap with one hand. Likewise, the fact that I become unhappy because of this person is a clear indication that both sides are involved. So therefore it's not the other person's mistake, I'm also involved there. So keeping this in mind, then the anger towards the other side becomes less. Okay, so with this the point is that deep inside, okay, they superficially, immediately, just on the spot, there may be a little bit of agitation, irritation, a little bit of anger can arise, but deep inside, we should never have a sense of anger towards others, right? In other words, the grudge, holding grudge towards others, such a thing should not happen. This is so important. There may be disagreement in terms of views and so forth, but deep inside, never ever have a sense of the spite, grudge. This should never happen. Okay, now the question may arise, in which case then people will abuse my compassion, right? People take advantage of my compassion? Okay, under such situation, still the anger is not justifiable, right? You cannot justify this with the anger. The point is that you can take measures. You can take measures. It doesn't mean that you have to submit yourself, you have to surrender. That's not the idea. Without surrendering to anger, you have to take the appropriate measures. For example, I remember His Holiness saying that often the question asked to His Holiness whenever His Holiness gives public teachings, that what if I practice compassion, then people take advantage of my compassion, what should I do? So His Holiness said that, okay, it doesn't mean that you have to surrender, right? If a mad dog comes, don't say compassion, run away. If a mad dog comes, what should you do?
Run away.
Don't say compassion, run away, right? Likewise, if a very difficult person comes, right, see what to do. Whatever appropriate measure to be taken, take the measure. Take measure, but never give in to anger. Even without anger, you can take measure. So look at how the mother tackles the child, right? Sometimes the mother should pretend as though like the mother is very sad when the child behaves a little bad, right? Although the mother is not really angry or sad, but pretends. Because the child loves the mother so much, the child is more like a blackmaid. So the child doesn't want to hurt the mother. So these are the skillful ways. So not surrendering, never surrendering to anger, but take the whatever measures. For example, keeping distance is another very effective way. When somebody starts taking advantage, generally how people take advantage of somebody who's compassionate and who's more gentle, is that they don't take your compassion, they take your compassion as weakness. So therefore, under such situation, what we do is that weakness and your, say, the stupidity. This is what the other people take your compassion to be like. So the moment the other person starts taking advantage of one's compassion, then keeping a little distance and maintaining confidence, not shirking the person, keeping a distance. When meet face to face, and then whatever is to be said, say, and then leave. With a tremendous confidence, person will get a message that my compassion is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. And I know how to, take the situation. You send a message. So this is the message the other person get. The moment the other person gets the message, the person will never treat you with the abuse or whatever. It will not happen. Earlier the person thought that you were weak. Now the person realized that you are not weak, you are very strong. And early action was not the action of stupidity or the weakness, but the action of compassion. Then the person will appreciate what you've been doing. Okay, there are so many ways, but never ever should we give in to anger. This is the point. Okay, so with this in mind, say I'd like to summarize today's Bodhicitta ceremony on the basis of what we have read. Page 7. In the end, we read the instructions on parting from the 4 attachments. We read that. I'd like to summarize this on that basis. It says, if you attach to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner, which means that, how would you distinguish between a child and a matured elder? Right? How do you distinguish that? A child does not see tomorrow or does not see after 5 years. Child only wants to be on the playground. Whereas the elders, they see 5 years later, they see 10 years later, 20 years later. On that basis, the elder has a wider perspective of the reality in terms of time, in terms of space. So therefore, one who's more matured is wiser. So whether you're wise or not wise, if you see only this life, you don't see life beyond, you are like a small child. You're only seeing today, not tomorrow. Right? So it says, if you're attached to this life, which means that you're at least bothered about the next life and so forth, you are a small child. You are a very immature child. You are not a spiritual practitioner. Spiritual practitioner meaning someone who is matured in thinking, in able to see what is beyond today, what is beyond this life. Number 2, if you're attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. Renunciation, oftentimes people have a misunderstanding of renunciation. Renunciation means to renounce good food, good house, good company, and so forth. This is not the case. Renunciation means to renounce your miseries, right? Okay, I don't think that anybody goes to any Buddhist center saying that, oh, I have so much happiness, please teach me how to renounce happiness. Please teach me how to renounce happiness. I don't think there's anyone in this world who would go to any Buddhist center to, seeking or asking somebody to teach you how to renounce your happiness, right? Everybody, almost like, if not 100%, 99.9% of the people who go to a Buddhist center, right? Or any center, any Dharma center, whether Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, Islam, the Judaism, whatever, go there with the expecting to get rid of the miseries. So the renunciation means to renounce your miseries, not to renounce your happiness. Don't forget it. This is so important. Okay, now to renounce the miseries, what attracts miseries? You have to renounce the causes of the miseries. And it says, if you're attached to samsara, feeling attached to samsara, right? Samsara, then what happens is that, so good things, you always seek for something good, and who hinders you from getting this good, you become angry. And in the process, then you harm others. When you harm others, you accumulate negative karma, very destructive karma. So this karma, then you perpetuates you to experience more of the miseries in the future. So therefore, this misery you don't want. So if you don't want the miseries, if you want to renounce miseries, you have to know how to renounce the cause of the miseries, that is, the harmful actions towards others. So number 2 is mainly to renounce the harmful actions, negative karmas. Okay. Number 3, if you're attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. So, with the first, what attracts the miseries, what attracts the fear is the attachment to samsara. Right? Attachment to samsara is the one which makes you to behave in a very harmful way to others. So, stopping harming others, restraining from harming others, that makes you become fearless. Number 2 is the fearlessness. Number 3 is, what you want is fearlessness plus maximum joy. Maximum joy is the result of expanding your love and affection towards as many beings, towards all sentient beings. So what allows you to do that is bodhicitta. So number 3 says, if you're attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is one which can give you the maximum happiness. What do you want? You want maximum happiness or half happiness? We all want maximum happiness. If you want maximum happiness, it's bodhicitta. And for the bodhicitta, you have to quit what? Personal interest. Okay. Then number 4, if there is grasping, you do not have the view. Grasping meaning grasping of the objective existence. Right? In the dream, as long as in the dream you believe the dream ghost to be real ghost, you are never going to be free from the fears of the ghost inside the dream, in the dream, right? If you don't want to have the fear in the dream, what should you do? You should let go of this viewing the dream ghost to be a real ghost. Let go of this. How to let go of this? Wake up. Wake up. How to wake up? By having correct view of seeing things as empty of object reality. So he says, if there is grasping, you do not have the view. Without the correct view, you do not have the total freedom from you continue to be in the dream. And if you continue to be in the dream, and how many of you are going to have a dream of His Holiness the Dalai tonight? How many of you want to, how many not want to, everybody wants to. How many of you will have the dream of His Holiness the Dalai tonight? How many of you? Except for Jandiji, right? Okay, why don't you have the dream is always the dialogue tonight? Why not? Because the dream is not in a hand. You're getting it? Dream is not in a hand. The dream is illusion. And this dream illusion is not within our hands. We cannot dictate what the dream is going to be like. That's dictated by the early imprints. You're getting it? So now the point is, if you don't want to be affected by the dream, what should you do? Wake up. To wake up, you have to have the correct view of the emptiness. Okay, so this is what we need to be doing. The first one is, we should be, the first line says, we should be mature. Don't be like a small child, only seeing today. We should be able to see tomorrow. Not just see to this life, see the next life also. Think of the next life, prepare for the next life also. One. Number two, what you don't want is, you don't want the fears of life. And fears of life are attracted by attraction to samsara. Right? So get rid of the fears of life, becoming fearless. This is what you're seeing. So that through detaching from samsara. And then what you really want is, you want the maximum happiness, maximum joy. This maximum joy will be attracted towards you by bodhicitta, unconditional love. Right? And this what hinders unconditional love is the self-centered attitudes. Have no self-centered attitude. Right? Now, then if you don't want to live in this world of, say, involuntary pull and push, the dream, sometimes the dream, good dreams, bad dreams, good dreams, bad dreams. Who decides to dream? How many of you decide to dream? We don't, right? So if you don't, so do you want to live in the dream, or you want to come out of the dream? Come out of the dream. In the dream, what's the problem? Sometimes they're very pleasant dreams. You're in the garden, you meet with the holiness, wonderful dreams are there. Why don't you do be in the dream? Because the dream is unpredictable. I don't have the freedom to choose my dream. If you don't have the freedom to choose the dream, and the dream happens, that is happening out of your freedom. Not out of you, not because of freedom, but due to lack of loss of the freedom. You don't have the freedom to choose a dream. So where there's no freedom, there's a loss of freedom. Loss of freedom is miseries, and misery is samsara. So if you don't want to be in samsara miseries, what should we do? Just get out of the dream, right? Say no to the dream. How to get out of the dream? Wake up. How to wake up? Get the correct view of the reality. To see that, how do you know that the dream is, how do you get out of the dream? To know that dream content is not the real. Dream content is mind, mental creation. When do you know that? In the dream or outside the dream? Outside the dream. So we have to wake up. Only when you wake up, you realize that what dream I'm having, it was not from the object, it's coming from this subject. Likewise, we have to wake up from the dream of ignorance, the sleep of ignorance, and realize, by realizing that everything that I'm encountering, they're nothing but coming from my mind. Once you realize that, you wake up from the unconventional dream. Once you wake up from the unconventional dream, you're no more affected by any external factors. So that is the greatest of the freedom. Okay. So with this in mind, as per the ceremony, taking the aspect of Bodhisattva vow ceremony, or ceremony to generate the mind of consummate yoga, what we do is, first we will do 5 minutes breathing meditation. 5 minutes breathing meditation. Okay. And this Bodhicitta day that Tibet House is observing, that you are all, and some of you are specifically more interested in the Bodhicitta day, that itself is a clear indication of somehow your karmic connection with the practice of Bodhicitta. That itself is so precious, so precious. And keep in mind that there are 7 billion human beings on this earth. And out of the 7 billion human beings on this earth, today, how many of them are practicing bodhicitta today. So less, maybe 0.0000001, right? Maybe practicing bodhicitta is so less number. I may be presumptuous. It may be presumptuous. It may be less than 1,000. 7 billion human beings, and how many actually practice bodhicitta? Maybe less than 1,000. 1,000 is nothing. 0.0000001% of the human beings that practice bodhicitta today, right? So from this very less number of the people, we are all part of them, and particularly people who are interested for this bodhicitta, and those who accidentally came here. This is surely your karmic connection with this very precious bodhicitta practice. This is so. In fact, this happens. This is what I noticed in my life. That we organize some program, and then usually people who are attracted to us, set a teaching, they are not there, right? And that is the most important thing. And then the new faces, just purely new faces are available. This is something. Then on the one hand, I feel that, okay, what happened to those people who regularly come, right? And then on the other hand, it's amazing that the new faces there. Maybe these people, they are specifically connected with the bodhicitta practice. Amazing, they're so good. Okay, so the point is that we really need to rejoice in our karmic connection with the bodhicitta practice. Each one of us, we are very fortunate. In fact, the Buddha very clearly mentioned this in a sutra. The Buddha told I think Aramanjushri, that the bodhisattvas may not practice many things. If they practice one thing, if they practice one thing, all good qualities will come. Attracted, like being attracted in the palm of one's hand. And the Buddha asked, what is that one quality? And the Buddha himself gave the answer. It's the great compassion. So the practice of compassion, the practice of bodhicitta, which we're doing here, is the one which has been cherished by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And this is what each one of us we're doing here. And there are very young ones also here. Yes, very young ones also. Okay, this is amazing. Okay, so as a part of this, there are the 4 things happening. One is the single point meditation, which we're doing now. After this, very quick, the practice of renunciation to lay the ground for the bodhicitta. Then number 3 is the bodhicitta, actual bodhicitta practice. Then number 4 is the wisdom of emptiness, which according to what we have read now, wisdom of emptiness. Then with these 4 things intact, then we'll take the quick aspiration bodhisattva vow, right? With the proper procedures. Okay, so this is the procedure. For the first 5 minutes breathing meditation, and it seems like there are 1 or 2 of the newcomers. I'll make it very quick. By the way, just raise your hands those who have no exposure to meditation. Anyone? No exposure to meditation? Okay. So what we do is that I'll give a quick the instruction on the meditation, right? And this is okay. So those of you who already are exposed to meditation, what I suggest you to do, you start doing a practice. And then as I give the instructions, and if you feel disturbed, then you see how strong you are in the meditation. Right? If you're disturbed, then you say, wow, I'm so lucky that what he's talking and disturbs me, so therefore I could see the degree of the weakness of my meditation, right? And then I need to cultivate more strongly. Okay, so those of you who have no exposure, just listen to me. I'll give you a very quick instruction in meditation, and this will be very helpful. And I may as well suggest that, so this meditation and so forth, we do it in more with a greater precision and more elaborate form during the Bodhicitta retreats. So those of you who are interested, you can also take part in the Bodhicitta retreats, which we usually organize in Deer Park in India, Deer Park and Root Institute. Now we also have one in Pune, perhaps this year, towards the end of this year, November. So something like this happening there. Okay, so now for the instruction, there are 4 things to keep in mind: body posture, focal point, then identifying the errors of meditation, then applying the remedies to overcome the errors. So 4 points to keep in mind. 1, the body posture. Body posture, just sit upright, and whether you want to sit cross-legged or not, it's not mandatory. But if you think of sitting for a long-term meditation, then sitting cross-legged would be very helpful. Which is Padmasana. And then the backbone upright. Backbone upright means the back should not touch any support. Backbone upright. This is so important. Okay. Then your head should be tilted forward a little bit. And what is so important is your eyes should not be closed. And some teachers may advise you to do eyes closed, but I suggest you not to do with your eyes closed. And if you have been doing meditation with eyes closed for the last more than 1 year, then what I may suggest is that you can try with eyes open and see how that is like. You may find it difficult. Difficult means that you have to practice that. Okay, so eyes the half open, 45 degrees cast down. Eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. And then the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate. Tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in your mouth. Otherwise, it's very disturbing. And breathe naturally. Keep your teeth and lips in their natural course. And breathe naturally. Don't force your breath. Don't control your breath. Let your breath flow naturally. Okay. And your right hand on your left hand, the tips of the 2 thumbs joining and 2 thumbs standing, forming a triangle. Place the two hands on your laps in a restful state. Okay, right hand on your left hand, tips of 2 thumbs joining, forming a triangle. Place the 2 hands in a restful state on your laps. Okay, this is your body posture. Number 2 is what you are going to meditate on, focal point. What is the focus? The focal point is a tiny dot, tiny white dot, 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter. Tiny dot, white dot between your nose and the upper lip. This is what you're going to focus on. Okay. So while you focus on this dot, multitasking. Count your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 2. We're going to do this for 5 minutes. And those of you who find it really very difficult to cope up with 2 things. One is focusing your mind on the breath, and one is focusing mind on the tiny dot. 2 things. If you find it too difficult, you can choose one for the time being, and then eventually you must be able to do both. Okay, so this is what we're going to focus on, focal point. Number 3, identifying the errors of meditation. What mistakes can happen in your meditation? 2 mistakes. One is mental excitement, and the other one is mental laxity. Mental excitement is when your mind starts to wander here and there, when your mind is getting scattered here and there. And the other one is mental laxity, when your mind feels heavy, when your mind feels lethargic, and your mind feels inserviceable, sleepy, sinking. This is the mental laxity. So these two things are the errors of meditation. And we are bound to say there's a tendency for us, for our mind to fall under one of these two errors. Should it happen, no need to worry, just apply the remedies. What are the remedies? Number 4. Remedies, there are 2. Introspection and mindfulness. Introspection is like if you lose your pet dog. If you lost a pet dog, what you do is that you go in search of the dog. Going to search of the dog is the introspection. Your mind is like the introspection. Your mind is like the pet dog, the lost dog. So your mind gets distracted, goes out or in a lax state, then you go in search of the mind to see what your mind is doing. Once you find the pet dog, then the job of the introspection is done. Next is the job of mindfulness, which is like the rope. Then tie the dog with the rope and bring it home and tie it to the pillar at your home. Likewise, with the mindfulness, the rope-like mindfulness, bring the mind back to the intended object of meditation. Okay, this is what we're going to do for 5 minutes. Ready? Okay, next is the renunciation, practice of the renunciation on the basis of the four seals. The four seals, the first of which is all composite things are impermanent. Number two is all contaminated things are suffering nature. Number three is everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. And finally, transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Okay, the four seals. And the four seals, on the basis of the four seals, we will practice renunciation. And this is going to be more the guided meditation, the four seals, and followed by the Bodhicitta practice on the basis of the four immeasurables. Okay. And then followed by the emptiness meditation. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. Okay. The four seal meditation, and we will again sit upright, and the point is it's going to be in the form of a guided meditation. What we're going to do is just follow the instructions. Follow the instructions, and cut yourself from ruminating over the past experiences, and disengage yourself from the anticipating for the future, and then be in the present moment by disconnecting yourself from the five sensual objects. Just detach yourself from the five sensual objects, the present five sensual objects, and then stop engaging with the ruminating over the past experiences, and stop anticipating for the future, and be in the present moment. Just follow the instructions. And in some cases, you may miss the instructions. It doesn't matter. Be in the present moment, follow the instructions, and see how much you can invoke the respective experiences. Okay, this is very important. And then don't try to make links, correlations between what you learned in the past, now what is being said here. Don't try to do any of these things. So what are you doing? Just be in the present moment, and whatever is being advised, what has been asked to invoke, whatever experience that you are asked to invoke, just try to invoke it respectively. When asked you to stay in this experience, stay, do what we want to do. Right? That's very important. So, except it's going to be a rich experience, you don't really have time to correlate the things of the past and so forth. Okay. The four seals. The first, all composite things impermanent. Impermanence is of two kinds: the gross and the subtle, the visible impermanence, and the very subtle impermanence. Anything which is made of physical parts, such as the made of electrons, protons, neutrons, and so forth, and those made of the mental parts, mental segments or temporal segments of the mind, the first moment of the mind, second moment of the mind, and so forth. So anything which is made of such a physical or mental parts, they should necessarily be impermanent in nature. So, scientifically speaking, according to the contemporary physics, we see that the matters, they're in constant flux of change, which means electrons, they don't really stay at all. Even for a moment, it does not sit idly. It's constantly in movement. And all the heat that we experience is nothing but a manifestation of the movement of these elemental particles. Okay. So from this, we see that the friends that you've met in your life, many of them passed away. They already died. And in most likelihood, many of the cases that we don't even remember who are grandparents or great-parents and grandparents were, let alone the great-great-grandparents. We don't know their names. We don't know who they were. Once they were as young as what we are now. But they all disappeared now. This is a fact. In fact, 120, 150 years ago, once, when we were not born on this earth, the world was as vibrant as what it is today, 150 years ago. There were people as young as who you are now. And there were people who are much younger than who we are now. But now, not even a single person from those years is left today. They're all gone. This is impermanence. And believe it or not, 150 years from now in the future, even a newborn child today, 150 years from now in the future, will not be existent. The whole population of the world is going to be very different. Not even a single person will be left then there. This is the impermanence. And the beautiful sunshine disappears. 2016, 2017, however beautiful, however nice, however much you have enjoyed, they're all gone. They will never come back again, ever again. This is the reality of the all composite things impermanent. And the fact that the composite things are impermanent, these impermanence, underscoring this visible impermanence is the subtle impermanence, which is in the form of momentariness, instantaneity, momentariness of the composite phenomena. The change that you see in a fine, tiny seed, in 10 years' time, it grew to a 10 feet tall. After 10 years, coming back for the first time after 10 years, you'll see that, oh, what a change. But this change was not overnight change. It was a change that had been occurring for 10 years, which means every year there's 1 foot growing, every year. And 1 foot tall tree. Again, it was not overnight change. It was a change that was going through every month, 1 inch growing, growth of 1 inch every month. And the change that you see, 1 inch, 1 month, is not overnight. Again, it's a change happening over days, 60, 30 days. And the change that you see in 1 day is because the change that you see in 24 hours. The change that you see in 1 hour is the change that you see in 1 minute. And if you look at the wall clock, 1 minute is not really visible as changing. But this 1 minute change is possible if there is a change which is happening on the level of 60 seconds, spread over 60 seconds. And how the second moves, yes, that is visible. So this is how even this tree, which seems to be so static, gigantic, majestically standing, even that is nothing, but second by second it is changing. And the change that we see in 1 second is possible only because of the change that you see in the 1,000 nanoseconds or the milliseconds. And the milliseconds, how fast it moves, is so fast that even our eyes can hardly catch it. So this is how our body is moving, how our body is changing, how the external trees change, how the traffic, the bus, the cars, the metros, the trains, the flights, the trees, the people, how everything is changing, all composite things is changing. This is how everything is moving so fast. And this is a fact. This is not what we're exaggerating. What we see when we look at when we look at the wall, when we look at the ceiling, when we look at the floor with the eyes, you don't see them moving that fast. This is how our eyes are so deceived. via the bad imprints, habitual tendencies. In actuality, they are moving so fast. None of the composite phenomena exists for even a single moment. It simply changes the very next moment on a nano, the second level, on a millisecond level, so fast. This is how your body is changing. This is how your mind is changing. This is how self is changing. This is how the universe is changing. Wow, this is amazing. It's so scary. It's so scary. So, saying, I like this person, I like this flower, I like this chocolate. The moment you go to grab at it, it takes few seconds, or it takes few milliseconds. The moment you reach your hand to the object which you initially want, you feel attached to, is already gone. So what you get hold of is not the object which you were earlier wanting to have it. This is how impermanence. And even the hand which reaches out to get the object, the first hand which was meant to get there will never reach there, because the second moment has already emerged. So this is how it's very scary to see things in the light of the impermanence, subtle impermanence. So with this, it is like that we are thrown into a very fast moving train. Our body is like a very fast moving train. If you're thrown by a stranger into a fast moving train, what is your feeling? So much of fear. Faster the train moves, more the fear. Why fear? Because we don't know where this train is taking you. The faster it moves, less the chance to get out of it. And it's moving so fast. And who decides where this train is taking you? The driver decides. If the driver is your mother, no doubt the train will take you to a picnic spot. But if the driver is the terrorists, kidnappers, no doubt they will take you to a slaughterhouse. Very scary. In our case, what is the driver? Our body is like this very fast moving train. And what is the driver? Unfortunately, in our case, the driver is the two demons: self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude. These two demons. As long as we are under the sway of these two demons, they will never take us to happiness. They will only take us to the slaughterhouse, to the miseries. What kind of miseries? This is what the Buddha said. The second seal: all contaminated things are of suffering nature. Everything which is contaminated, the worst of which is self-grasping, ignorance, and self-centered attitude. Anything which is under the sway of these two demons, these two contaminations, only experience that we'll go through is miseries. What kind of miseries? Sickness, aging, death, loss of near and dear ones, fear, anxiety, stress, tension, depression, so forth. Just endlessly many fears, endlessly many miseries. For example, just the pain of losing near and dear ones, this is one experience of that is good enough. Good enough to know what the misery is like. One experience of the miseries is good enough to nullify all the experiences of happiness that you had in your life. Okay, this is known as all contaminated things are of suffering nature. Okay, is there a way out from this? Okay, yes, it is impermanent. And impermanence, there are several kinds. In some cases, one where no matter what force, no matter what measure that you take, the object will never come to an end. There's one category. Another, if you don't take any measure, the object will continue perpetually and perpetuate itself endlessly. Number two. Number three, whether you put effort or not effort, it'll automatically come to an end. There are three categories with the impermanent phenomena. What? One, whether you put effort or not, it will come to an end automatically. For example, 2017. Whether you put effort to bring an end to this, 2017, or whether you don't put in effort, even if you want to have it eternally. No, it invariably came to an end. So that is impermanent phenomena which began and ultimately come to an end. Another category, no matter what you do, it will never come to an end. For example, say the electrons and protons, or the subatomic particles, they will never come to an end. They will either they will retain their form either in the form of the sub-elemental particles or in the form of energy. It will never come to an end, just like 2017. And likewise, our mind will never come to an end. Our mind will continually move down, even after Buddhahood, achieving Buddhahood. And this third category, if you put effort, it will come to an end. If you don't put effort, it will continue. What is that? The miseries that we go through. Our miseries, if you don't put effort to bring an end to this, it will just perpetuate endlessly. Whereas if you put an effort to bring an end, yes, it can be brought to an end. This is good news. Okay, how can we bring an end to this? So for that, we have recited mantra, Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava. All phenomena arise from the causes. So we have to know, if you want to bring an end to the miseries, you have to know how to bring an end to the cause of the miseries. What are the cause of miseries? We learn that it is ignorance, like the dream. In the dream, the nightmare, the dream that you had, what's the cause of this fear, the nightmare of the dream, is because seeing the dream as real. So how to get rid of this problem? By waking up, by lighting the light, by lighting the wisdom of the reality. Okay, so how to, what is that wisdom? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with reality. What is the reality? Reality is how everything is like a dream. Only if you know that the dream is dream, then you are freed from the ignorance of seeing the dream is real. Okay. So everything that you are seeing around, that you're experiencing, they're all like second dream. They're all like unconventional dream. We have to wake up from this. Dream means it is purely made out of my own mind. And how can I know that things are all made by my own mind? Okay, this is a very important question. We'll quickly meditate on the third seal, which the Buddha said, everything is of the nature of emptiness, selflessness, in order to invoke the spirit of the wisdom to see the reality, so that the miseries will come to an end by bringing an end to the contaminations. Okay, what is this reality? Let us meditate on the emptiness of yourself. Okay, what are you doing? I'm meditating. What is your body doing? My body is in meditative posture. Are you sure that it is in meditative posture and that you're meditating? Yes. Okay, is it not like if it does exist, how does it exist? Is it like a dream coming from your mind? Or nothing to do with mind? It's so 100% of the object. Like a movie projected. Movie is projection from the movie projector which is behind you. And the movie on the screen is actually not coming from the screen, it's coming from the movie projector. So likewise, this self of the person, is it coming from your mind, like the movie projector, or it is so independently there, nothing to do with my mind as the movie projector? How does it appear? Of course, it seems so objectified, solidified, solidly there, nothing to do with my mind. This is illusion. This is known as self-grasping ignorance. This is what is to be cut. How to do that? Okay. How to know that this is illusion? Good. Okay. Remember what Aranigarjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, let us all say this together 3 times. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? Okay, so now from this what we learned, if that what I'm seeing as water, if that's really water, then why don't I see the same water as I go closer and closer towards from where this water was appearing? To my surprise, going closer towards where this water was appearing, the water disappears. There's nothing really there. It's so dry. Which means that what I earlier saw as water was actually deceptive, was actually mirage. Likewise, what I see as myself meditating, okay, If we extend the same logic, reasoning to the self, if this I were to exist objectively, why don't I see this I as I go closer to its object? Okay, this is so precious, important practice, extremely important practice, and it has been like innumerable lifetimes, hundreds, thousands, trillions, millions, billions, and trillions of lifetimes that we had in the past. In most likelihood, we never got the opportunity to practice this illusion-like nature of phenomena. Today we're getting this opportunity. We are so fortunate that there is Tibet House, established by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, under the auspices of the Indian government. It's amazing, great opportunity for us all. Okay, so with this, if this, applying what Aranagarjuna said, if the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? In the similar token of reasoning, if this person, I, were to exist objectively, instead of being like a dream, why don't I see this person as I grow closer to this object? Okay, now let us go closer to this object to see whether this person actually exists there objectively. Okay, by going closer and closer to this object, we see that first we see a very thin layer of the skin. We are only interested to look for the person. We are not interested in looking for anything else which is not a person. So, by going there, we see the very thin. First thing that you see is the thin layer of the skin. This is not a person. Take this away. Behind that is the fatty tissues. That is also not me. Remove that. Behind that is the muscle, the cartilages, the bones, the blood vessel, the heart, the lungs, the spleen, the kidney, the gallbladder, the liver. None of these solid parts is me, 100%. These solid parts constitute the element of earth. So the element of earth is not me. Next, element of water. The blood which is pumped in and out by the heart to all the parts of the body. Of course, this is not me. Element of fire, the body heat. Of course, that's me. Body heat can increase, it can decline, but I increase, I decline makes no sense. Even element of the fire is also not me. Element of air, the air which I breathe in and out from my lungs, that's also not 100%. Element of space. Our body is essentially made of empty space. Our body is made of millions and trillions of atoms, and the atoms, the space between the solid parts, electrons and the nucleus is far, much wider than the space occupied by electrons, protons and neutrons. From this point of view, we see that we are essentially vacuum in nature. Even this vacuum in nature is also not me, because this vacuum is not a solid object, whereas I am a solid object. These two are contradictory in nature, so therefore even the vacuum part is also not me. Next, the element of space, the element of consciousness. Even this consciousness or this mind is also not me. This mind does not have a gender. This mind is not a male. It is not a female. The gender is posited on the basis of the body. And I'm a male, I'm a female, which means that my mind is not me. Remove that. What is left now? Nothing is left there. Now you've gone too close to this object, and the person who I thought is so solidified an object real, it disappears. Stay in this experience for a while. What are you seeing? I'm just seeing the 6 elements. Element of earth, water, fire, air, space, and consciousness. And where is this self? This self disappears, it's empty. Stay in this experience. This self disappears. Stay in this experience for a while. And this experience is not what you are faking up. This is reality that you are discovering. Besides these 6 elements, there's nothing, there's a self. And none of the 6 elements is a self. Where is the self? It disappears. It's empty. Stay in this experience for a while. Amazing. Okay. Now imagine that you come out of the meditation. Come out of the meditation. Come out of the meditation. Oh, again the person comes back. Again you go into the meditation. Again the person disappears. Except for the 6 elements, the person disappears. Again come out, the person comes. Person disappears, comes back, disappears, comes back. There's constant change happening. But on the object level, there's no change. Change is happening only on the perception. And perception is purely subjective. What is involved in this change, what is involved in this perception, is purely coming from the subject. So the self, the person who I said is meditating, is actually part of this change, part of this perception, which is change, which is happening only on the subjective level. So therefore this person is nothing but the purely subjectively existent. From the object is totally empty. Stay in this experience for a while. Okay, you may be wondering, what's the benefit of this meditation? The benefit of this meditation, the Buddha said, the fourth seal, transcending sorrow is absolute peace. How? Just as this person disappears in this meditation, if you apply the sickness, aging, death, misery, tension, all this experience into the same analysis, they will also disappear. So all the miseries subjected to this analysis, the miseries dissolve. Miseries means mental turbulence, mental agitation, they all dissolve. So mental turbulence is a sorrow. Sorrow dissolves. You transcend sorrow. Transcending sorrow is the absolute peace that you're experiencing. Stay in this experience for a while. Imagine that all your sorrow dissolves in this experience. Now you experience the transcendence of sorrow. Absolute peace. Stay in this experience. This experience is known as renunciation. Seeking to achieve this state is known as the aspiration for renunciation, aspiration of renunciation. This is so precious. Okay, wholeheartedly seek this aspiration. May I achieve this experience, to be free from all sufferings, where all sufferings dissolve in this experience. Okay, good. Slowly come out of the meditation before we move to the next meditation on Bodhicitta. Slowly come out and relax for a few seconds. Relax for a few seconds. Open your eyes. Okay, relax yourself. Okay, sometimes when we go too inward, if we are not really habituated in this inward moving, what happens is that the laxity can sink in. The laxity can sink in, for which if you open your eyes, it will remove the laxity instantly. That will be very helpful. Okay, open your eyes. Very good. Okay, few seconds, just rest yourself. Then we'll move to Bodhicitta practice. Okay, ready for the next meditation? Ready for the next meditation? Okay, that is the Bodhicitta practice, meditation Bodhicitta. But keep in mind that this practice, Bodhicitta practice, is so precious, and you can feel it. Say, the opposite of Bodhicitta practice is the self-centeredness. With the self-centeredness, jealousy, anger, hatred, all these negative emotions can arise. When these negative emotions arise, you see how weak we are, right? I always want to smile, I cannot smile when we are in the grip of jealousy, hatred, hostility, and so forth. Okay, so this will be released by the practice of bodhicitta. This is so precious. Yet, this practice of bodhicitta, there are two methods. Right? What are they? Sevenfold cause-effect method to generate bodhicitta, and the other one, equalizing and exchanging self for others to generate bodhicitta. The two methods, right? Okay, so here we're not going to do the two methods. The two methods will take a little long time. So therefore, if you really want to feel such a very expansive freedom from the grip of the very corrosive, the feeling of anger and so forth, and depression, stress and so forth, we have to practice the bodhicitta, right? This is a beautiful practice, and as we get along this practice, and as we become more and more proficient in this practice, slowly you will feel that just to even think of, may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. I'll take the responsibility to free all beings. When you say this, right, earlier it was like a, say, fake. It was like a fake, superficial, nothing is really coming in your thought, it's just words coming, right? Over time, this practice will really ripe. You will see that it ripens in the form of effect. Goosebumps will come on your body. You will feel the tickling sensation in the body, very cold waves flowing in the body. When you say that, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I'll take the responsibility of all sentient beings to remove their miseries and that they be endowed with happiness. As you say this, the cold waves will flow in your body, very pleasant waves. The sensational waves will flow in your body. So these are very precious practice. The thing is that we should be, say, first of all, learn these two methods. Learn these two methods, and depending on how much time that you have, you practice it. And over time, it will surely, you will see the effect. You will see the benefit of this meditation, the fruition. Okay, this is so precious. Meanwhile, what we're doing is on the basis of the Four Seals, which is more systematic. Systematic meaning that it'll take less time, and this is something which is common between the Theravadas and the Mahayana practitioners, right? And then to make it something unique of the Bodhisattva practice, then you add the end Bodhicitta commitment, and of course the Bodhisattva vow. Taking the Ashwini Bodhisattva vow will make it something unique. Okay, ready? Reinforce the visualization of the Buddha Shakyamuni and all the enlightened beings in front of you. And as said before, that they are like very affectionate parents, and they are there to give full love, affection, attention, and so forth towards you. And reinforce the visualization of your two parents and all of family members, including children and all dear mother sentient beings, insects, animals, local spirits, the celestial beings, the gods and goddesses, the hungry ghost beings, the hell beings, everyone. Leave none aside. And here you are the mother, and all others are like very affectionate children. And the purpose of this practice is to say no to the self-centered attitude and instead cultivate bodhicitta within you. Okay, this is so precious. See how much we can, follow the instructions. Try your best to follow the instructions and invoke the experiences as much as you can. Okay. First, immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear mother sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. May all my dear mother sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The cause of happiness primarily consisting of bodhicitta, which cherishes others more than oneself, and the wisdom of emptiness, which sees emptiness of all phenomena, emptiness of objectivity of all phenomena. I will take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you are making such a courageous commitment, like a mother, after all these many years of hardship, the eldest daughter or the eldest son tells the mother today, Mother, please take rest. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of my two parents. I'll take care of all my siblings. I'm already grown up. I'll take care of them. You have done everything for us. For the first time, after all these many years of the mother's hardship, she couldn't believe her ears. With tremendous joy and pride in the child, the tears rolling down her cheeks. This is exactly what is happening to all Buddhists and Bodhisattvas, seeing that we are making such a courageous commitment to take the responsibilities of making all the beings be endowed with happiness and cause of happiness. And this pride and happiness all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have experienced invokes the compassionate mind of the mind of the omniscience to send forth nectars, very soothing lights towards you and all Tibet sentient beings. The mere touch of the lights and nectars with the bodies of beings of yours instills in all happiness and the causes of happiness in the minds of sentient beings and yourself. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to us, all the different sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Next, immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear mother sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering such as self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. May all my dear mother sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I will take the responsibility that all my dear mother sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, witnessing that you make such a courageous commitment, they are intensely happy and proud of you, and this pride and happiness invoke their compassionate omniscient minds to send forth nectars and very soothing lights towards you and to all dear mother sentient beings. A mere touch of the lights and nectars with the bodies of beings in yours washes away all the miseries and the cause of miseries from the minds of sentient beings in yourself. You witnessing such a miracle is happening to us all the dear sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Okay, due to constraint of time, we will now end with the Bodhicitta commitment. Okay, with folded hands, I'll say a line of Bodhicitta commitment, and we'll all repeat this 3 times wholeheartedly. Be it superficial, it doesn't matter. Wholeheartedly, let us repeat this. Do the best you can. This is a great opportunity for us, even to practice the instrument. We have to first of all do it in a very superficial way, which is not at all pleasant, which is not at all melodious and in synchrony. Over time, it will become synchronized. It's so beautiful and melancholy. So likewise, this practice, initially it can be very superficial, it doesn't matter. From this we start, and eventually it will turn to a so spontaneous, beautiful Mother Bodhicitta. I'll say this line of commitment, and let us all say this 3 times together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear mother sentient beings. Stay in this experience of the beautiful mind of Bodhicitta, amazing beautiful mind of Bodhicitta. Stay in this experience for a while. Imagine if you have this experience of Bodhicitta 24/7. When will you have the time for anger? No room for anger, no room for agitation. Your mind is forever at peace and happiness. Okay. Slowly transform this beautiful mind of Bodhicitta into a spotlessly clean white moon disk, horizontally sitting on the heart. It's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. But how can you say that you can become a Buddha? A handful of sand, however much you may squeeze, no oil will come out of that. Yes, of course, that's true. In my case, I'm not like a handful of sand, I'm more like a handful of sunflower seeds. Sunflower seeds, if you squeeze, oil come out of that. Likewise, I have the Buddha nature. Just as the sunflower seeds has the potential for oil inside, I also have the potential of the Buddhahood within me, which is the Buddha nature. I have this. But if it is with you since time immemorial till now, why it is not manifest? Yes, that's true. It's all because I'm being stupefied, I'm being deceived by the two demons, self-grasping and self-centered attitude, always coming in the facade of being my best friends, helping me, supporting me, guarding me. Today I'm disillusioned by these two demons. I realize that these two are not my friends anymore. They are the worst of my enemies. Henceforth, I will never give in to these two demons. I will just say no to these things. The moment these two things are gotten rid of, all the mental defilements will go away, and the true nature of the Buddha nature within me will start shining. That is the Buddha nature becoming a full-fledged Buddhahood. Okay, but how can you do that? Knowing that all these mental defilements, they are rooted to the ignorance and the subtle stains. So that can best be eradicated by the wisdom. What wisdom? Wisdom to see the reality of the dreamlike nature, emptiness of all phenomena. But how can you cultivate this? Okay, quickly retrieve the experience of emptiness, which we meditated as the third seal, which is the part of the four seals of the Buddha's teachings. Okay, quickly go back to this meditation. What are you doing? I'm meditating. Okay, how does this person appear to you? Objectively real, or like a dream that coming from mind? Not at all from the dream, not at all like a dream. It's so independent of the dream, independent of the dreaming mind, which means 100% objectively real. This is known as self-grasping ignorance. How do you know that this is self-grasping? How do you know that this is mistaken mind? Yes. Remember what Arjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? In a like manner, if this person would exist objectively, why not I see this person objectively? As I go, why don't I see this person as I go closer to this object? Okay, let us quickly go closer to this object. We'll see the thin layer of skin behind these fatty tissues, muscles, cartilages, the bones, the blood vessels, the heart, the lungs, the spleen, the kidney, the gallbladder, the liver. None of this solid part is this person. None of this solid part is meditating. That's sure, 100% true. These solid parts constitute the element of earth and element of water, the blood which is pumped in and out by the heart to the different parts of the body. Of course, that is not me. Remove that. Element of fire, the body heat. Of course, that is not me. Remove that. Element of air, the air that which I breathe in and out through my lungs. Of course, that is me. That is not me. Air does not have a gender, and the air goes out of my body, and I don't go out of my body. And the element of space, of course it's not me. I'm a sort of person, space of vacuum in nature. Element of consciousness. The consciousness, of course, is not me. Consciousness does not have a gender. I'm a male, I'm a female. The gender is positive on the basis of the body. The mind or the consciousness does not have a gender. Even that is also not me. Remove that person. Nothing is left there. Stay in this experience. You have gone too close to this object, and now you discover that going too close to the object, this person disappears. It does not mean that a person does not exist. It simply means a person does not exist objectively, but the person does exist subjectively. What is this? What we have been deceived was seeing the person as objectively real. That is the one which creates all the fears and all the anxieties. Okay, going close to this object, besides the 6 elements, where's the person? The person is empty. What are you seeing? I'm seeing these 6 elements, which means you are seeing the isolate of the 6 elements. Where is this person? The person is empty. When you say the person is empty, you are seeing the isolate of the emptiness of the person. Of the 2 isolates, by using the first isolate, focus on the second. That is, by using that, besides the 6 elements, isolate 6 elements, the person is empty. Isolate of the empty person. Person disappears. Stay in this experience for a while. Okay, slowly transform. This is known as the ultimate Bodhicitta, the wisdom of emptiness, also referred to as the ultimate Bodhicitta. Slowly transform this very fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness into a spotlessly clean white Vajra, thumb-sized white Vajra, vertically sitting on the moon disk at your heart. Amazing. Now you have the moon and the Vajra. The moon, symbolic of the conventional Bodhicitta, which wishes to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. This is the mind which is the most beautiful and most appealing that possibly exists in this universe. And the Vajra, symbolizing the wisdom of emptiness or the ultimate Bodhicitta. This is one which is the most fearless mind, the most fearless that can possibly exist in this universe. And today you have both. Somebody with the combination of these two mental states, the most fearless mind and the most appealing mind, makes the person a Buddha, the full awakened one. So this is a seed that is going to guarantee that you're going to become a Buddha, you're going to become a full enlightened being very soon. Amazing. But don't forget your 2 parents and all dear sentient beings around you. They're still suffering. That's very true. With tremendous, incredible love and affection towards all dear sentient beings, this love and affection invokes the Vajra moon at your heart to multiply infinite number of times. Okay, share one set of Vajra moon at the heart of your mother. One set with your father at his heart. One set with each one of your family members, including children. One set with everyone here in each one of the beings in Delhi, the human beings, the animals, the insects. One with each one in the entire India, in the entire world, in everyone in the entire universe. Oh, wonderful, amazing. All sentient beings who have been so kind to us. Everyone has the virtue. Everyone is suffering as to the same extent and in fact worse than what is suffering. Now, because of your kindness, everyone is getting this final panacea, final hope for the freedom from suffering. The Vajra moon is amazing. Okay, meanwhile, don't forget that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they're watching us. So happy, so proud, so happy, so proud. Yes, of course. Why not we invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to be the witness and a guest and a witness to our undertaking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. So, as a gesture of requesting Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to be the witness and a guest for this aspiration Bodhisattva vow, and let us, along with all dear sentient beings, slowly stand up to make 3 prostrations to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay, those of us who do not have any problem with any knee problem or backache problem, any problem, then you sit on your right knees. Those who do have problems, sit on your cushion in the most comfortable way. Sit in whatever position is more comfortable, sit that way. Those of you who have a problem, those who do not have a problem, sit on your right knees. Okay, so in the process, because then it may take a little time in the process, if there's a little pain, or Kirtiji, you want to come here? Or you can put the cushion. Cushion is now. Make sure that you have a cushion under your knees, so your knees are not hurt. Okay, good. So in the process, because it may take a little while, and if you feel pain, if the legs start paining, then make sure that you sit in a comfortable position, because the thinking is very important. More than the position, thinking is very. Initially, you begin with this position, and later on you can sit in the most comfortable way. Okay. Okay, let us turn to page 46. Page 46. Okay, so the page 46, the last stanza. This is a preliminary preparing ourselves. Later on, when you are to take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow by yourself, then you can use this stanza as the main stanza for taking the vow. Or you can do the next two stanzas as well. So it's fine. So here what we're doing is we're using this as a preliminary practice, preparing us to the actual ceremony of taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. So here, the point is that we need to know the meaning. It says that I go for refuge to the triple gem. So what it is saying? So while we do that, we make sure that, okay, we tend to forget the visualizations advised earlier. Imagine all Bodhisattvas in front of you, meaning in the sky in front of you, and your two parents, and all sentient beings are around you. This is a great opportunity for us to include your parents, include all sentient beings with you. And in the process, it's not that we are doing good to them. Of course we are doing good to them. More than that is later on when you actually practice bodhicitta, because it's a matter of time. Bodhicitta will take a lot of time for bodhicitta to actually arise within us. So when you do any kind of virtue, if you include all sentient beings with you in your visualization, then when you actually generate the meditation bodhicitta, the tendency for us to actually experience bodhicitta very quickly can happen, right? So this is a great benefit for the generating bodhicitta very quickly if you include the all sentient beings. Even on a daily basis when you make prostrations to bodhisattvas, so you just a very simple trick, a simple step or simple addition to include in your mind visualization that all sentient beings, you are inspiring them to make prostrations with you. And when you say, just one step, enthused by great compassion, you taught immaculate dharma to dispel the perverted, to you the Buddha make prostrations. When you say this, you say, imagine that you are saying this to all sentient beings. If you don't forget to include all sentient beings, this is an incredibly effective way of generating bodhicitta within you very quickly. Okay, so with this in mind, all sentient beings should be with you and all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas should be there with us. And imagine that it is, how we should be as creative here. How? That the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they're watching us, and how they're watching us. Imagine that, say you are age 4 or 5, and first time you are performing, we are making a public performance in a school performance, and you're part of this. And then your parents come to know about that, and your parents make sure, even though they are so busy with the programs, with the responsibilities, they make sure that they are part of the audience and waving their hands to you, telling that we are here, watching come to watch you, and you feel so proud that your parents are there. Your parents are feeling so proud of you. This is exactly what all the Bodhisattvas, they are doing today. They are so proud of us, what we are doing here, right? And we are like small children, and Bodhisattvas, they are like your parents, and they're watching us with tremendous pride and happiness. Okay, so this is what we should be visualizing, and in a process, because that what we're doing, this taking as Bodhisattva, this is so precious, so precious. And in this life, and in the incredibly many, in trillions of lifetimes in the past, did we really get the opportunity to take this Bodhisattva vow? Is very likely not. So now, of all these trillions of years, we didn't get the opportunity, and today we're getting the opportunity, right? This is amazingly great, noble task. Nobler the task, greater the support that we need. And greatest of the support that we can think of is the three jewels. So the first line, when it says, go for refuge to the triple gem, means that I'm taking the support of the three jewels for me to undertake this noble task, Herculean task of journeying the Bodhisattva vow for the benefit of sentient beings, number one. So this journey of taking Aspen Bodhisattva vow, this journey is a mental journey. Because this mental journey, this journey must be cleared of the path. It must be cleared of the path, and our mind is the path. So the mind must be cleared of the blockages. What blocks us, blocks our mind of traversing towards the enlightenment. We have to remove the obstacles. So the best way by which to remove the obstacles, mental obstacles, is by confessing the negativities. What obstacles? Mental negativities, right? Mental negativities, say the particularly harming others due to attachment and so forth. All these things, we confess the negativities. So that way, we are clearing the path. Once the path is clear, but the car that should be going on this path, this car must have enough fuel. If the car does not have fuel, even though the road is very clear, but the car cannot move. So the car is nothing, again, different from our own mind. Our mind is the car which moves to enlightenment. So this mind, car-like mind, should have enough fuel. What is that fuel? Fuel is the fuel of the merit. And the best way by which to have the maximum merit accumulated is by rejoicing in the merit and the virtues of others, all beings. So the third line says, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. So now the road is clear and the car is enough fuel. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go? The road is very clear and the car is enough fuel. You are ready. So where are you going to go? I'm going to go to the land, the destiny of Buddhahood. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. So this is the journey. Okay, we're going to say this 3 times wholeheartedly. Meanwhile, if you feel pain, make sure that you sit down comfortably, right? Okay, the pain should not be in between you and the practice. Okay, let's say this wholeheartedly and imagining that, say, the mother and the small children, right? Small children. And when the mother is doing something good, mother wants to teach the small children how to do good. Mother makes sure that the small children, they are, actually taking part in it. So likewise, we imagine that all sentient beings are like the small children, and then you are encouraging all sentient beings to take this Bodhisattva vow. And the Bodhisattvas, they are watching us with tremendous love, excitement, and joy. Okay, let us say this 3 times together wholeheartedly. I go for to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Okay, the next 2 stanzas, this is the actual ceremony. Very important actual ceremony. And the next 2 stanzas, it begins by saying, Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. This is where we are, say, once again, the reinforcing, reinvoking all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to be there with so much love. It is like you telling your parents that, okay, now I'm making the performance, right? So parents, be ready to see what I'm doing. So this is like what we're invoking all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Now, what we're going to do is that the two stanzas. The two stanzas, we should know the meaning. The first stanza is pertaining to the Buddhas who already became Buddhas, and the second stanza pertains to us who are aspiring to become Buddhas. The first one says how these Buddhas who were many lifetimes ago, they were as ordinary as what we are today. But now, they become fully enlightened, they become Buddha. How come that they become Buddha today? For two factors, for two reasons. One, initially they were driven by the force of a very strong Bodhicitta, but the motivation, which is Bodhicitta, aspiring to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. They generate this very strong Bodhicitta aspiration, number one. Now to materialize, number two, to materialize the aspiration of this Bodhicitta, they then actually engaged in the Bodhisattva practices, 6 perfections plus 4 perfections, total 10 perfections. Generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, samadhi, wisdom, skillfulness, aspiration prayers, power, and discriminatory wisdom. Okay, so in short, say they initially generated very strong motivation of bodhicitta. One. Number two, to materialize the aspiration of this bodhicitta, which says that may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, which we all did. To materialize this aspiration, they engaged in the bodhisattva practice. If this is how, if these are the two factors by which they have become Buddhas now, I will also follow the footsteps. I will also do these two things and become Buddha very soon. I will also generate bodhicitta, and I will also engage in the bodhisattva practices. So this is what we're going to say 3 times. During the third repetition, when you say the last 2 lines, and likewise shall I too successful for the bodhisattva practices, imagine that you have actually received the aspiration bodhisattva vow, and you feel rejoice over having this, feel the great joy over this. Okay, and then in the process, if you have pain, sit down comfortably. This is very important. Thinking is very important. Okay. Gurus, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successively follow the bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I'll generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I'll generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the bodhisattva practices. Okay, feel the joy over having received the aspiration bodhisattva vow. You are so fortunate, so fortunate. And all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are so happy, so proud of you, so proud of you. And because of this incredible, the joy and the pride all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they feel towards you for having done this great job. And like, say, the mother, after all these many years of receiving complaints from the school principal about the eldest son or the eldest daughter, that she's not doing good, that he's not doing good, no studies, and so forth. After all these many years of hearing bad things about your child, then one time today, the school principal escorted by her the other teachers, this time coming slightly differently with a smile. And then again you are a little apprehensive, again what my daughter might have done, what my son might have done, apprehensive. This time it's very different. The school principal smiles at you with tremendous sense of courtesy, respect, And then you could not believe your eyes. And then again, what did I do? What did my child do? And the principal said, no. In fact, your child, your daughter and your son, these two are appointed as the best students of the year of the school. And the parents, the mother could not believe this good news that it's actually the case. So this is exactly what is happening to all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas since time immemorial till now. We've been doing only bad things. We've been only embarrassments and humiliation to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas. And today we are doing something so good that Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they really feel so proud of you and happy. And this pride and happiness the Buddhist Bodhisattva experience invokes the Vajra moon that they have in the full form to multiply infinite number of times. Like rain shower, in mirages like rain shower, these replicas of the Vajra moon, they descend to merge with the one that you visualize at your heart, becoming non-dual. These become non-dual with the Vajra moon at your heart, stabilized and blessed. Likewise, innumerable in mirages, innumerable Vajra moon from the house of Vajra, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they descend to merge with that. Merge with the one that you visualize at the heart of your mother, at the heart of your father, at the heart of each one of the sentient beings, your family members, everyone here in Delhi, including the cats, ants, dogs, the cows, and the mosquitoes, the insects, the flies, the human beings, and everyone in India, everyone in the entire Milky Way galaxy, everyone in the entire universe, the spirits, the hungry ghosts, the hell beings, the gods and goddesses, human beings, everyone is amazing. Now everyone has a Vajra moon blessed by all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas. Amazing. So this is the greatest, this is what you've been doing today, what you did today is the greatest possible gift that you can offer, the offering that you can make to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, and today you did it, today you made it, and this is the greatest gift that you can offer to all your dear Mother Sentient beings. Today you did it. This is amazing. This is the greatest, this is meaning of extracting the greatest meaning out of life, or taking a meaning out of life, and today you did it. It's amazing. So this is all happening because of the kindness of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. As a gesture of thanking them, slowly, along with all dear Mother Sentient beings, let us slowly stand up and make 3 prostrations, all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Okay, sit comfortably now. Please take your seats. Sit comfortably. Okay, page 47. Page 47. The second last stanza. So this practice, why this is so precious, as I said earlier, there are 7 billion human beings, and how many are actually taking this as from Bodhisattva vow in their lifetime. Most of them even they have no clue as to what is this practice says. So from that point of view, we did it for them on their behalf. It's amazing. Okay, so with this mind, while this is so precious, the next question is, okay, in this life, I can I can associate myself, I can be with this practice to my greatest satisfaction. But what about next life? In the future lifetimes, that we are not too sure. To make sure that we also become connected with these teachings, not only in this life, also in the future lifetimes, then we include that in the form of prayer. So that is the second last stanza we have. Okay, let's wholeheartedly say this 3 times. Imagine that all sentient beings are 7 billion human beings, all sentient beings, innumerable, infinite sentient beings are around you, and particularly your 2 parents around you. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the 2 precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the 2 precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by a compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the 2 precious Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Okay, so now in the future lifetimes, how can we possibly be able to meet with this teaching, right? Not only meet, and then we feel connected. We feel that familiarity, right? How do we do that? Is by rejoicing in this. And the following stanzas were taken from Bodhicitta Geshe Dorji Dasmdul, amazingly great, the scholar, saint, practitioner of Bodhicitta. And as we read the following stanzas, there are 2 things to keep in mind. One is the word awakening mind. It means Bodhicitta. And then following that, you see the use of the pronoun it. So this pronoun it refers to Bodhicitta, right? So with this mind, we'll recite it, read it with the whole heart, the involved in it. In order to further increase it from now on, those with discernment who have lucidly seized and awakened a mind in this way should highly praise it in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit. Having well obtained this human existence, I've been born in the family of the Buddha, and now I'm one of Buddha's children. Thus whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied race. Just like a blind man discovering a jewel in a heap of rubbish, likewise by some coincidence an awakened mind has been born within me. Is the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death. Is the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. Is the supreme medicine that cures the world's disease. Is the tree that shelters all pains, wandering and tied on a part of conditioned existence. Is the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. Is the dawning moon of the mind that dispels the torment of disturbing conceptions. Is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world. Is the quintessential butter from the churning of the milk of Dharma. For all those guests traveling on the path of conditioned existence who wish to experience the boundless happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and actually place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the protectors and by the world to be guests at a festival of temporary and ultimate delight, may gods, demigods, and all be joyful. Okay, we will recite from page 43, and then we are almost there at the end. Okay, page 43. If you look at the end part, there is a note which says that in accordance with His Holiness the Foreign Dalai's vision, is more like advice. Few stanzas are to be reflected upon at this stage. So this is these are the stanzas which when you read and advise of His Holiness, the idea is to invigorate compassion. Compassion, there are various levels, right? Compassion, there are various levels. Some may be little surface, others may be more in depth, and others may be very deeply rooted. For example, say if there is somebody who is, say, in the street crying out of hunger, acute pain of hunger, almost everyone will feel compassionate. Right? 1. Number 2, if somebody has enough to eat but no education and then roaming here and there, then people feeling compassionate, number will reduce to 20. Out of 100, 20 people may display compassion. okay, no, this person will suffer so much in the future without education, right? Okay, so the 80% of people will not have compassion. Oh, this person has enough to eat, so why not he's working? Why not she's working? Instead of compassion, we start complaining, right? Which means 80% people gone. So compassion, 80% compassion. People who displayed compassion earlier means their compassion is a little shallow. Now with this, then the person who's wondering, now this person gets an opportunity to study where? St. Stephen's, then to Cambridge, Oxford and so forth. And then instead of compassion, you may feel jealous. Whereas some others, wow, it's so good. Now this person, we will encourage this person to study so well and then come back and to help his or her community to uplift the standard of his or her community, right? So there, this thinking is, compassion is, from the 20, maybe one is left. Right, 19 will either, a little bit of jealousy, whatever these things can happen, which means you see that compassion has so many levels, right? And somebody who can have compassion towards all samsaric beings is what? What makes all samsaric beings to suffer in common? What is that? Ignorance. Being in the dream. Being in the sleep. Right? Being in the sleep and not having the power to decide what the dream is going to be like. And the dream can be very scary, nightmarish, all these things. Okay. So, who can feel compassionate towards these people? Somebody who has already woken up from the dream, right? So what we are reading now is somebody saying, one, even if you may have to experience emptiness, you may not have experienced emptiness, but at least you have some contact, connection with the teaching of emptiness. So with that in mind, these are said by the Bodhicitta Sharideva in chapter 9. Chapter 9, and it's a beautiful way how without the wisdom of emptiness one is trapped into the dream of samsara with endless, say, sometimes happy, sometimes misery, happy, misery, killing, stealing, all these injuries, losing near and dear ones, all these dreams of undesirable pains. All these pains are going through all because of failing to see the dream as dream. All because of failing to see the wisdom, failing to have the experience of the wisdom of emptiness. And then in the end of this the collection of the passages, then Bodhicitta prayed that when will I get opportunity that by the power of my merit I'm able to teach wisdom of emptiness to all the sentient beings, right? So that is the greatest of the compassion, greatest compassion. Okay, so to invigorate the degree of compassion, we'll read the following stanzas. Okay, let's slowly read them together. Therefore, sentient beings resemble dreams. Upon analysis, they are like pendant trees. Whether they are released or not from sorrow, ultimately there is no difference. What is there to gain and what is there to lose with things that enter to existence in this way? Who is there to pay respect and who is there to abuse? From what are pleasure and pain derived? What is there to be happy or unhappy about? When one searches for the ultimate nature, who is there to crave and what is there to crave for? Upon analysis, this world of living beings is found to have no true existence. Therefore, who can die here? What is there to come and what has been? Who are friends and who are relatives? O you who are investigating reality, please recognize as done that all is just like space. Those who wish to be happy are greatly disturbed by the causes of conflict and overjoyed by the causes of pleasure. Not finding happiness, they suffer, and in order to find it, they exert themselves. They argue with others and cut and stab one another. And with many wrong deeds, they live in a state of great hardship. Even though they repeatedly come to happy existences and experience much pleasure there, upon dying they fall for a long time into the unbearable suffering lower realms. Within conditioned existence, the chasms of suffering are many, and the liberating comprehension of the ultimate truth is absent. Furthermore, the apprehension of the true existence and understanding of emptiness mutually contradict one another. Yet if while in conditioned existence I do not realize this ultimate truth, I shall continue to experience a limitless ocean of misery, unbearable and beyond analogy. Likewise, through not having realized emptiness, I have little strength for virtue, and my human life for leisure and endowment is indeed very short. Also, I strive hard to live long and avoid illness. I am concerned with hunger, rest and sleep. I am injured by others and keep meaningless company with the childish. Therefore, this life swiftly passes with no meaning, and it is very hard to find a chance to investigate reality. In this state, where is there a means to reverse this beginningless habit of grasping into existence? Furthermore, devils are exerting themselves to cast us into vast, unfortunate realms. There are many mistaken paths, and it is hard to resolve doubts about the perfect way. It will be hard to find the leisure of a human life again, and extremely difficult to find the presence of the Buddhas. It is hard to forsake this flood of afflictions. Alas, sentient beings will continue to suffer. Oh, indeed, it is worth feeling sorrow for those that drift in the river of pain, who, although they experience great misery, are unaware of the sufferings they go through. For example, some ascetics wash themselves again and again, and others repeatedly enter fire, but although they thereby suffer greatly, they pretend themselves as being happy. Similarly, those who mistake their suffering for joy and live as though they were no aging and death, first of all killed by the Lord of Death, and then experience the unbearable miseries of falling into low realms. When shall I be able to extinguish the pains of those tormented by the fires of suffering with the ruin of accumulated happiness? This is sprung from the class of marriage, and by having in the manner of not objectifying to existence, intensely will I gather the accumulation of merit. When will I be able to reveal emptiness to those who are wretched by view of the true existence? Okay, so we will just end with the dedication prayer. Two, 278. Okay, let us turn to page 278. Okay, so the merit that we accumulated is really very enormous. Okay, so this merit that we have, each one of us has accumulated, let us dedicate that the light of the Bodhicitta and the light of the wisdom of emptiness thrive in the minds of all dear sentient beings, so that the darkness of self-grasping ignorance and the darkness of self-centered attitude are corrected fully, and that each one of the sentient beings, they experience the bounties of happiness eternally. And let us also dedicate the merits that scattered, that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth today, that he lives long and that his wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. And let us also dedicate the merits that all the learning centers, all the great learning centers, irrespective of what traditions, Sakya, Gakyu, Gelu, Nyingma, all these great learning centers, with great rigor they study the philosophy, psychology and so forth, to bring about transformation of the mind from the very gross to the very compassionate, appealing, the wisdom of emptiness, that all these centers thrive in the activities of flourishing the Dharma in all 10 directions at all times. And let me personally dedicate merits thus gathered, that each one of you, through your concerted effort in the practice of the Bodhicitta and the practice of wisdom of emptiness, may you soon see the dawn of the Bodhicitta, may you soon see the dawn of the wisdom of emptiness, so that each one of you will become such a reliable guide to lead all dear sentient beings to his ultimate happiness. May the Bodhicitta, the light of Bodhicitta, thrive in the minds of all dear sentient beings. May the light of the wisdom of emptiness thrive in the mind of all dear sentient beings, present and future. Okay, with that mind, let's turn to the additional direction prayer, page 278. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful generous Tens and Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the bravest magician, some of the Bhattara too, realize things as they are, Also, I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow the perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by the victorious ones, thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not erased and harassed and grow, and may that which is erased and not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain to the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dhamma of teaching and realization. May I in all life, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect with the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate my full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the blessed Buddha in my heart. The power of the union of emptiness and compassion is loosely explained by the protector of both the Dhamma and the beings of the snowland. With the Lord Soul, the Tenzin Gyatso, we supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces, the humans or non-humans, who help or menace through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas, be totally vanquished through the path of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my life, never separate from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations of the paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my lifetimes, may I always be guided by an Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings of dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, so with this we finished the taking the aspiration, the ceremony of the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, Chotanla. Okay, so we have the offerings in the form of blessings, offerings which we already made to all Bodhisattvas during this process, and will be distributed. And maybe the younger ones can come to help. Younger ones just come up and make sure that everybody gets something, the blessings.